Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. All right, wow. What a day today. So it's definitely an interesting one, for sure. All right, wow. So I hope everybody had a great training day today. Let me get this tweeted out so everybody can join in here. 1 second. Good, good, good. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, just waiting for the tea to boil. Sometimes it takes an extra minute there, so thought I had it. Thought I had it there. So I think they're confirming an appointment prep potentially. So anyway, good stuff. So today, happy Thursday, everybody. One more trading day left this week. Today we're going to be continuing our conversation on Analyze My Trade, and today we're going to be talking about Netflix. What a move on Netflix today. So this is from a follower, and basically the real question that we're going to be looking at today is like, wow, how do we stay in a trade like Netflix, right? Not to mention getting in it. So I think it's a pretty good one to look at today, especially on a big breakout move like Netflix. So before we get started, everything we're going to talk about is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Do 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 do. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. All right. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look and see where we left off in the market today, and then we're going to take a look at the futures and see what we might have setting up into tomorrow. And then we'll go over the topic, and then we'll take questions and chart requests. So let's get started. So SPX. So welcome to a brand new month. We just started October today. Up 17 points on the SPX. Monthly chart still looking a little bit, iffy. We ended up closing down. The gap helped keep us up today, but red on the month so far, inside month as we progress. The big thing here is the weekly chart, right? So we had a weekly hammer last week, and we're still continuing up off of that, right? So we kind of have to think of that as bullish generally. And daily chart. Here is the big channel, right? So this is the big thing that we've been talking about, right? So the corrective channel right here, once we broke down out of the upper trend line, put us into the trend box, and the trend box just tells us that, hey, we've got a corrective pattern going on. Now the trend box doesn't go away until we get all-time highs, but it doesn't mean we can't trade up through the trend box. It just means that there's potential for more choppiness, right? So right now, we had a corrective channel right here. Like we said, this is an Elliott wave zigzag move. Because we had an impulsive move down, we had an ABC move right here, and we had another impulsive move down. Now right now, since we've broke out of the corrective channel, it does appear that we may be starting a fresh impulsive wave up, right? We had a big strong candle right here that broke that ticked above and broke above the corrective channel. And then we gapped above it. The big thing that we were talking about is like, can we close above the 50-day moving average and the cloud with some increased volume? Now, ideally green. We didn't finish quite green today, but we did have a little bit of a rally there towards the end of the day, giving us this lower shadow here. So generally, we're still assuming that we're part of a wave one move. This would be a really tight wave two, right? Because this would be A, B, C. It's possible, and then we might be working our way up here. So I was still expecting a bit of a corrective pattern here. So maybe down to the 618. We might come back down and retest this 3281 area. If we do, that would be a gap fill and be not a horrible area to consider buying the dip to ride a wave three up to try to get us back up to all-time highs. So we'll see how that goes. A little bit tricky right here, but that's where we are right now. So over the 50-day and over the cloud. So generally looking okay. Let's take a look at the intraday price section here today on the SPX. So it wasn't pretty, right? So it was a choppy day below the 15-hour below for the majority of the day, right? So we had a big gap up this morning. We left with an upper shadow. This gave us some shorting opportunities at the open, which was great. Like in our group, we shorted Apple this morning. We got a little SPY short too. So that was good. And then it got really tricky. Every time it tagged the 15-hour below, it went down, but it was in this really kind of, see these lower shadows right here? It made it really, really tough to short. Tagged it again, made it really tough to short. But we did get an inside 15 down here to push, but it really didn't get any follow through. We came off some key levels from yesterday, right, including the closing gap area, right? So and then we bounced off of that, chopped, and then gave a little bit of a push into the close. These are the levels that we provide to our members before each market opens. So you can see how important they were. There was the closing gap right there, right? And we can see that once we rejected the weekly levels here, gave a push down. We had fresh monthly levels too. Once we rejected that, right, we can see that we were working our way down. Tried to work our way back up, not quite a V reversal. Higher, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, and then we just couldn't get above the prior higher high, right? We had big inside 5 right here and kind of worked our way down. So this ended up being a nice move, and this was a projected move, but it was crazy, right? Because you look here, even the drop was not easy, especially with options, because it dropped and then gave a quick, sharp retrace and then back down again. So today was not easy. Overall, right? So it was a very, very choppy day, but there were some good names that were moving today, and one of those is the names that we're going to profile, which is Netflix today. So we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. Before we do that, let's take a look at the S&P futures, and you can take a look at these are the supply and demand zones that we use as we navigate the day, not only through the SPX levels, but also these very important levels that we find on the on the S&P futures, right? So these levels usually come into play really nicely, right? So clearly this was the scene of the breakdown from yesterday, right? So this is a big move right here. It got all the way to the signal zone, and then we dropped, right? This is where they said they were miles away on a stimulus package, and that sent the market down. And then all night, right, we climbed its way back up. It's amazing, right? Stairs up, elevator down, right? Stairs up, elevator down. So we had a nice big short here off of the channel that formed over the night, and a quick retest of that here this morning, and then a drop off of that with an upper shadow off of the signal zone to send us lower. Okay, so some pretty decent moves there, and then a lot of choppy, right? And then we finally got back down to the signal zone below, gave us an inside 5, worked our way back up, and then just really got really tight between these levels. And you can see we're still tight here going into this evening. So we'll see what they have in store for us tomorrow, but so far it's looking like an ascending triangle. We just have to see if we can get over these levels going into tonight, and then how we handle the signal zone above. If we can push above that bullishly tomorrow, then we'll look to see if we can hit the next signal zone above. Should be pretty interesting. If we do break down below this at this end of the triangle, now ascending triangles are actually typically pretty weak, so a lot of times they fail. So if we do break down, we could see a test of this kind of this 33.50 area. Then below there, we've got some big zones below 33.40, 33.30. So we'll see how that goes here going into tonight. We do have a larger geometric line here that we are still tracking from yesterday, right? So we go tick, tick, and we can just move this up here and see how that holds going through the evening here into tonight. So it could be pretty interesting there. So we'll see how that goes. So good stuff. So today we're going to be wrapping up our series here on Analyze My Trade. I thought it was a pretty fun one this week. It was nice to get a lot of input from folks on Twitter and in the group. So today we're going to be finishing up and profiling Netflix. So Netflix is a big breakout move today, and really kind of the big question is, it's like, wow, how do I hold on to this thing, and how can I tell how high this thing's going, right? Because sometimes these things move, and it's like, wow, how does it move that much, and how can I stay in it, right? So this was a tough one because Netflix has been really tricky recently. So let's pull up Netflix and take a look. So let's go here. First things first, let's go to the monthly chart and see how it's been behaving on the monthly chart. Okay, see if it's overall bullish or bearish. So this is a little bit tricky right here. This includes like all of our levels and everything like that. So so far it was interesting, right? So last month, just like the rest of the market, it left with a dark cloud cover on the month, right? So it's a little bit tricky going this month, but we did have a gap up today and to kind of start things going. So the month did start to go green quickly. So that shows us there's a little bit of monthly momentum in here, and there was some interest in it, right? So weekly chart, this is actually pretty cool, right? So we talked about this on the private and the public Twitter this week. We talked about how important these levels are, right? This 491 level. So an inside week up, right? So these can give some pretty significant moves, right? Here's a prior inside week that had a huge move the next week. Inside week, huge move this week. So that was a big level right here. So let's go ahead and just kind of mark that basically with the inside week level. So let's keep an eye on that. Daily chart. So daily chart also pretty interesting, right? So this was the level. So we already cleared these levels this week. So this was the inside week high, and we cleared that this week. Now Netflix is pretty interesting going through the week, right? So we it was a little bit sketchy, but it kept on getting higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. So we could tell it was working on a fresh trend. And today was definitely a big push, a nice impulsive move on Netflix today. So the real question is why and how. And so the real reason is, well, we got over the cloud, we got over the 50-day, got over all this stuff, but we cleared a lot of key levels right here today. So this is the next level of interest, right? So this is a couple major pivots right here, and that was probably the big one, right? So let's take a look at that and see how it handled that here today. So this is a big pivot level, right? So big pivot level right there. So very important area right here, right? And after that, right, this is the next one. So next level up, right? And also a prior inside day up here too. So two big levels right here, right, and here, and then last one here. Okay, so those were kind of the main levels that we had going on today. So let's take a look at that on the intraday time frame and see how these things handled, right? So what was really cool with Netflix today is the most important move with Netflix today was the dip buy, right? And that made it was actually particularly challenging today because the market itself was particularly challenging, right? So if we go to the Nasdaq, right, Netflix is pretty highly weighted. It's not one of the higher weighted names on the Nasdaq. Let's pull up the Qs right here and just kind of take a look at their price action today, right? So it was not easy, right? So there were some dip buys today, but it was very choppy price action. So there wasn't a lot of tailwind on Netflix today. So it made it a tough one to kind of glance at. But one of the things that we can look at on Netflix is the recent action, right? So we talked about on the daily chart that it has been putting in higher highs and higher lows. We've been commenting about this in the group about how interesting it's been over the last couple days, that it has given some pretty big moves. So if we kind of go all the way back here to the 28th, right? So this was the first day that things started to get bullish. We were a little concerned about it with the cloud, but we like how it closed as a hammer, right? And had nice volume that day. So that was kind of the first showing that, hey, this is starting to look kind of bullish right here. And you can see that gave a big V reversal. This shows that that Netflix was prone to dip buys and kind of coming up in this area right here. So we saw again here a big dip buy on Netflix. Here, kind of a dip buy at the open, right? So we kind of flushed down and the dip buy was right away. Dip bought, right? So we kind of see that here today. And so today, that trend essentially continued going in today to look at where these dips were bought. So so let's pull up the those levels that we just pointed out here. So let's go here, here, and here. Okay, so this is the big pivot level, right? So so it's a little bit concerning. So it's like, why did Netflix wait to go up as opposed to not just breaking out early and just kind of giving a big launch here and holding the 80 MA all day? So that made it really tough, right? So so really, for me, buying the dip was a little bit challenging, right? So if this initial move right here, if you caught an initial dip buy, right, great stuff, probably got some profit on it, stop at the pre-market levels, and okay, still got out with some profit. Then you just got to kind of, if you're stalking this one, if you're tracking it, right, then you can kind of see the price sections going. Inside 15 that failed to break the upside, lots of upper shadows right here. Inside 15 down, that actually gave a good shortable opportunity right here, but it came right back to the lows of the 15 orb lows, and then it's like, okay, now it's time to look, right? So if we go back to the Qs at around this time, like right around 11 o'clock, right, we can see the Qs around the low actually did start to show some strength. So that kind of kick-started things to work their way back up. So it was a little bit of dip buy going right here. And then Netflix just did not lose momentum off of that, right? So that's one of the key considerations, right? So we lifted off of that. We started to work our way up here. So it was possible to buy the dip again, right? Retesting those big pivot levels. And also keep in mind stepping into the prior day's highs right here, right? So this is also a very important area too, right? So what was also interesting is it kept on showing with these lower shadows that it did not want to get back into yesterday's range, right? So so we had a lower shadow right here, it couldn't do it. This lower shadow right here was not quite, it wasn't, it didn't cross down below here, but the fact that it was a higher low off of it also shows that possibly there was some intention that this thing wanted to at least try to the 15 orb high, and it did. It wasn't easy, right? So Netflix is not an easy one to trade. It's got crazy spreads on the options. It's very challenging. So at this point here, once we break above the 15 orb high with increased volume, that shows us that there's some commitment that this thing wants to go higher, right? And we can see that the next level up, these were the big pivot levels here. This was the first pivot level. There's your inside day level right here, and that was the last major level up here. And so what we can see is that after this, we had the intention here with increased volume, right? This is the cause, this is the effect. It was a tough move, right? So it didn't get instant follow through these levels. It was sideways action. And then here's the key consideration right here, that we held the ADMA with some nice lower shadows off of this one, and then we rode the ADMA up. So that's really the area right here. Even if you didn't catch the dip buy on this one, this is your signal candle right here to show that, hey, it does have an intention to try higher. Oftentimes stocks don't go in straight lines. Sometimes they do. If you guys saw RKT today, Rocket, that gave a huge move today. And so so really at this point, it just became an ADMA day, right? And so that was this pullback right here was pretty reasonable, and the lower shadows off of the ADMA showed us that it at least wanted to test that level, and then we got some nice increased volume follow through to get us up a little bit higher, right? So really at this point, you have to gauge your entries, right? So for me, to even if we miss the initial moves right here, we see the intent that it wanted to get higher. So at that point here, off of this candle, we would look for a dip buy, and at this point, right? So we can see that it was a 618 retrace off of the ADMA. With lower shadows off of those, right? So that is the area, if you couldn't get the dip right here, then this is the dip to get, right? And so that actually projected things a lot higher, which is nice. And for me, probably once we cleared this level right here, that was a good area to take profit once I saw the upper shadow up here. But that's just for me, right? So, but some still hold it as long as, as long as it holds the ADMA, right? So you can kind of still hold that into the rest of the day right here. And you can see the 5-minute chart here too, right? Your breakout levels were essentially the same thing, right? So you saw the intent to break out here with increased volume, right? We had the pullback right here, and then we had a nice 618 retrace to kind of work its way back up. Again, I feel like this is an okay area here to take profit off of this spinning top, but it did continue to work its way back up. And if some folks like to follow the Fibonacci's throughout the day, and you can see here it also gave a 618 pullback off of this pivot level right here too. So even if you took profit right here, once you saw that it held here, it is possible to try a little bit higher on it. But again, very, very risky. Netflix is not really a scalpy name, right? So it was a good move up today, but it wasn't easy. So really that's what it comes down to. So kind of the key takeaways are the intent candle right here. the pullback to the 80 MA and the 618 retracement with lower shadows, and then finally the breakout move to get to your next major levels above, right? So really kind of the key level is here. If we broke above this level, then we'd probably get to the next level up. And so that's Netflix, guys. So pretty cool stuff. So hopefully you guys found that helpful. And at this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to play those in the chat window. We'll get through as many as we can and try to wrap up as early as possible so we can all have a good night's sleep and have another awesome trading day tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, so keep in mind it's option expiration day. So if you're not comfortable trading Friday's options with all the momentum, you can consider trading the next week's options. One, also not to get assigned unless it's part of your trading plan. And also another consideration too, it does get more expensive trading next week's options, but sometimes it can lead to a more consistent hold. And if you have some runners and it closes bullish or in the direction that you're looking for, then oftentimes they can make reasonable swings too. So anyway, something to think about there. So good stuff. So that's Netflix. So at this point here, let's take a look. So Shirley sent a few requests in via email. And again, once again, thank you everybody for keeping Shirley in your thoughts and prayers as she continues to get better every day. Amazon. So this is a good one, guys. So this is actually an important candle today. So Amazon has been doing this trend box action right here, but we actually closed above it here today with increased volume. So today officially we are working our way back up into an uptrend. So it had an interesting downtrend recently. Now we're following the trend line back up. So it's looking pretty good. I like the increased volume. I like how we closed over the trend box. Now let's see how it holds this upward trend line as we continue to work our way higher. So good stuff there. So bullish till proven otherwise on Amazon. Let's take a look at Netflix. Netflix, obviously, we just looked at. So Netflix is still in its trend box. Netflix is still in its trend box. I guess we can get rid of that big pivot level there too, because we had multiple upper shadows off of those, right? So still in the trend box, so we profiled that here today. Let's see if we can get some follow through on Netflix. We closed above this pivot level right here, so maybe it wants to get to the scene of the breakdown here up at 545. That could be an interesting one going into tomorrow. Let's take a look at Tesla. So Tesla, okay, so I think it actually left a small closing gap. The big thing about Tesla, right, we've been talking about this, is the let's go back. I need to go back a couple more days on this one. Let's go back. I think we knew 10 days should do it. Yeah. So here's the battery day, right? After hours, right? There's a big scene of the breakdown right here. So this is kind of that key area, right? We talked about this in our profile this week. We said, it was really timid when it approached these areas, right? Selling pressure. Got really, really tight yesterday. Got some follow through, retested the levels, right? Retested the breakdown levels. It was a key area if you're focusing on Tesla today. And then it worked its way back up, right? So this is a very, very important move today. We pointed this out, this bull flag today, and it gave a nice breakout here with some good increasing volume for a nice breakout over the 15 orb, which also happened to correspond with the pre-market highs. I love when stuff does that, right? So if you're a little uncomfortable with the bull flag right here, a momentum breakout through these levels right here was a good one here for a nice move on Tesla today. So let's see if we can get some follow through, right? We got a couple key levels up here that it could test, and we'll see if we get some Friday fun tomorrow. Etsy, so this is a good one. So Etsy was on our radar recently, right? We like the retrace here to the 50-day moving average. We got a nice breakout on that one today too. So beautiful move on Etsy. Has definitely been on the radar for us too. So good job there. Let's see if it continues to work its way back up. And then finally Docu. So a little bit of a move here off of these levels. Let's see if we continue to try to work its way back up. I like how it filled the gap, and still kind of closed green there with increased volume here today. So good stuff there. Thank you, Shirley. I appreciate it. Mike, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, let's take a look at Boeing. So Boeing's pretty wild, right? So it finally got up to the daily cloud right here, and then it rejected it, right? Now it's kind of sitting at the 50-day moving average. So we are a bit over the triangle, right? So now we're just going to see how it holds this 50-day, right? If it can get over that cloud. It's coming up to a thin cloud here. It was looking pretty strong at the open, right? Nice bullish move right here. Nice finish, and then a nasty pullback here today as it worked its way back down. So again, rejected the daily cloud and back to the 50 moving average. So we'll see how that holds. And then Penn. The most bullish of all the casino names. Most of the casinos were pretty weak today. Most of the casinos were pretty weak today initially, and then Penn ended up finishing with an inside day, so we had some initial weakness right here, but it held up better than some of its counterparts. So let's see if it can take that inside day up. That could be an interesting one. I think it's one to definitely keep on the radar for tomorrow. Let me update tomorrow's game plan. Give me 1 second here. Let's get that going. Hold on. Here. There. So for Friday, Okay, so it's Friday. I think next week's options. Okay, so of all those ones, I mean, Netflix looks pretty good. Etsy looks pretty good. So we'll keep Netflix and Etsy on the radar. Weak side oil has still been pretty weak here. So we can kind of keep a look at names like Oxy, things like that. Yesterday, let's see, today we had a few other names on the radar. Let's take a look here. So we got this, and then of course check out our anchors on that one. So good stuff there. Yeah. So keep an eye on Penn tomorrow. Let's see. So keep an eye on Penn. We'll put that on the bullish radar. If it can break out above those levels, we'll see if it's just kind of consolidating, waiting for another move up. So good find on that one, yeah, for sure. So let's see if we can break out those levels. And then SMH, yeah. So the semiconductors, right? So semiconductors generally pretty strong today, right? A couple of strong names that have been really surprisingly strong has been Intel. I know it had a red day today, but it's been working its way back up there. Xilinx. Xilinx has also been trying to work its way back up there. AMD gave us the doji sandwich up today, right? And then NVIDIA still ended up pretty strong here today too, as it's been just continuing a nice uptrend on NVIDIA there. So I got 4 years on this one. Give me 1 second. There we go. So stop it from jumping around so much. Okay, and then it still continued to work its way up. So just higher highs, higher lows on that one. So yes, keep it on the SMH and see if they continue to work their way, keep going. So good stuff, Mike. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Krishna, what's going on? Good to see you. ZS. Yeah, so this was a nice one that you mentioned yesterday. I really like it. Got some good follow through today. Nice moves on that one. AMD, again, doji sandwich up on that today too. Let's see if we can get some more follow through on that. Again, still looking pretty bullish. At this point here, just waiting for a pullback on it to see if we can find an entry on it. LVGO. Inside day, right? So this is a nice profile trade from yesterday. It couldn't get over this key level, right? So this is a major level right here that we talked about that needs to get above. But inside day, it could be gearing up to try to push above it. So let's keep an eye on that one. The NAST, what's going on? Good to see you. So again, still working its way up the channel right here. Again, nice bounce off the ADMA today. Decent candle today, decent volume. So let's see if that can keep going. And of course, LVGO, we just looked at, again, just inside day. Let's see if that can break out of there. Twilio, so that's interesting. I think there was some news on it after hours. Let's take a look here. Yeah, so we got a big spike here after hours. The news on this one was Twitter shows trading higher after the company announced it expects preliminary revenue for the quarter ended in September ahead of the previous year's guide. Well, there's one way to get your stock to go up, to say, oh yeah, I know we have earnings reports, but whatever, we're going to do better than the earnings report. Okay, big gap up right there. So I think Twilio is an interesting one. So let's see, it's going to be gapping up to 282. It's coming right into some resistance levels, but let's keep it on the 15-hour radar for tomorrow. So good find on that one too. Great reminder there too. Great stuff there. Wing, let's take a look. Wingy, Tommy get wingy. So we got that going right there. So Wing there, a nice push there off the 80 man. That one obviously it's kind of a low volume name, so a little bit of caution there. FSLY. So this is a good one too for when internet names are strong, things like that, right? So FSLY gave a pretty decent move today. A little bit of rejection at the 100 level. I'd like to see it close above the 100 level bullishly with increased volume. Then we got that big gap to work on there on FSLY, so that could be interesting too. D-Dog, again, what do we say? We say let's see if we can close in the upper shadow right here. So let's keep D-Dog on the radar too for tomorrow. I like the inside day. I like how it closed within the upper shadow range right there. It had some great action the other day too. CRM. I know we talked about this one yesterday too. Again, inside day on that one in the upper shadow, so let's see if we try to work its way back up over that. And then Zoom. Trying to do its thing again. Reversal on that one. So let's see if we can get over the 2-day ago high and if it can continue to work its way back up. And I did get my T, so that's good right there. And then FTCH. Oh, wow, Farfetch. Great move on that one. Good volume today. Good clear above the 50-day moving average. Just watch the top of the cloud as potential resistance. So good stuff there. Michael, what's going on? Nicola, you got an accidental call, so you can be out of a day trade. Oops. But you got 35 calls to 35 cents to $2. Wow, nice job on Nicola. So good job on that one. Wow, lucky move on that one. Good gap up, right? Big push to the 200-day moving average, and then a rejection off the 200-day moving average, right? So so good stuff there. It did give a huge spike here today, so that ended up turning into a good trade for you. Good job on that one. Kira, what's going on? Yo, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, let's take a look at run, guys. Again, these solar names have just been so epic recently. I mean, they're just amazing, right? They just keep going up. So continue to keep an eye on those names there. TSM, again, decent move on TSM today. That did help with the semiconductors as well. JD was gapping up nicely this morning, but really didn't break out. See if it turns into a pause day and continues to work its way back up. And then NEO. inside day, right? So let's see how that holds too. So the Chinese names were a little bit, they gapped up today, but were a little bit weak with the follow through this morning. So so we had that going on. So you think SPX is going to rally to 3450 and then a leg loader to 2900? It's possible, right? So so let's take a look right here. Again, 34. We're right at 3450. For me, just based on the Elliott wave, I mean, anything could happen. Anything could happen, right? As far as we know, it's just a wave one down, two, and then it's going to, flush. But right now, the way this thing looks like is a zigzag, right? We might be working on a move up. So if we got to 3450, to me, the pullback right there is at the 618, right at the gap fill, and then try to work its way, if we're working on a fresh wave up. So it just all depends. I mean, anything could happen, right? I mean, so that's just kind of the analysis we're looking on. So far, it's meeting all the criteria for a zigzag and then breaking out into a fresh wave one up. So we got that going on. But if this is, like a, kind of a correction right here, again, that 3450 is right at the 618 from the highs, and then we could see a big flush right there. It does seem like they're trying to gear things up for it, right? Because everybody's like talking about second wave corona and all that stuff, and New York with increased cases, things like that. But yeah, so if that did happen, right, we could see a big projected move down for sure. But right now we're still just we're going with the wave one right now. Just trying to stay a little bit bullish on it, I guess, overall. So because it's just based on what the price action right here. But you're right. I mean, a 618 at 3450 could be very interesting. So Jameis, what's going on? NVIDIA. So let's take a look. So NVIDIA, again, continued to put in higher highs and higher lows. Ended up pulling back a little bit into just about yesterday's range. But it did have a good move up here off its upper trend line, a nice bounce off of, essentially the 50-day moving area. But we looked at that this morning using our techniques for a reversal down. We're just kind of chopping here right now. So let's see if that turns into those lows, that triangle low turns into a pennant and tries to work its way down a little bit farther. And maybe that could be a good thing to give us a potential entry, or maybe a 382 back at the 8-day moving average, something like that. So let's see how that goes. Facebook, again, still generally, overall, from the highs to the lows, right, we're still at a 382 retrace right here. So I'm still a little bit concerned about it. We are below its macro upper trend line. So I'm still a little bit bearish on Facebook. I'm going to put it back on the bearish radar for tomorrow. I know it was bullish today, but it was a really kind of nasty, choppy day today on Facebook. And it may be just kind of gearing up for a reversal, right? So let's keep an eye on that one. Roku, again, has been big move today, but unfortunately, this thing's really been untradeable on the options intraday, unless you just hold and keep your fingers crossed. It's been just the spreads have been all over the place on this one, but it got really, really close to all-time highs today, which is nice. If you're swinging it from back here, right, on this pullback off of the 618 retrace off the ADMA, right? But it did not make it easy. That's kind of, you just got to swing it, close your eyes, that type of thing. So because it gives some nasty price action along the way. You had the Netflix, yeah. So that was exactly it, right? So that was the other way we were saying. So it's okay, make a profit on it. I mean, it was a tough one. Netflix has been really tough recently. Today's breakout was just kind of interesting, right? Because the key move was right here, retesting the prior range, retesting these levels right here, and then the fact that it got above these levels too is pretty impressive. That it was just kept going today. But good job on that one. So just in respect to 15 orbit, there you go. So good stuff there. Yeah, my pleasure. Good stuff. So Michael, what else? We got MRVL, another semiconductor name up. Gapped up today, so that's a good thing. So BBBY. Bed Bath & Beyond. So how about this one? So wow, out of nowhere, right? So a big move. Why was it not a total gap and go and close it like super bullish today? Well, because you got to go back and look where it's coming from, right? So it got over a lot of levels up here, right? But if you go to the you go to the weekly chart, it's got a lot of stuff above it, right? So it kind of got to some major pivots right here, and just was basically it, right? So today was pretty cool. It was interesting to see a retail company beat, right? So gave a little bit of a 15-hour breakout right here for a bit of a move, and then just kind of chopped around for the rest of the day and kind of pulled back, giving a shooting star. If it was red, I'd be a little bit concerned about it, right? So, but we'll see if it can hold up and defend the gap. Piton, of course, actually closed at all-time highs today with a strong candle. So again, sometimes these stay-at-home names, continue to work like that. RKT was a rocket today for sure. Big move on that one. Big deal with Realtor.com. So it's come just up to its IPO high level right here, which was 2276, and we closed just below it, right? So that is a very key level for it to try to get above. And then APPS. APPS, great move right there, and a great start to the month. I love it. Good to hear it. Put a little milk in the tea, right? Exactly. Helps me go to sleep, right? So it's good stuff there. Jim, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Babo, let's take a look. So again, that's what we were mentioning about earlier. So Babo had a big gap up this morning. Big push, or actually had a big push yesterday, and then had a big reasonable gap up this morning, right? So from yesterday's follow through. But this is one of those days. It's like, okay. keep those stops tight, right? Because it just really pulled back really harshly this morning. So Bob has been prone to do this, right? When it gaps up with the Chinese sectors, it does tend to reverse pretty harshly, right? So that was a very fast move there. So let's see how it goes today. I mean, it was it's basically. Was it 50% of the yesterday's candle? Let's take a look. Let me get the exact numbers out right here. Let's see. So, so yesterday's candle was a high of 295 and a low of 283.71. So 50% of that range is 289.35. So we did close above that. So it's not quite a dark cloud covered day, but it did push in the range. So it basically held 50% of the range. So let's see if that can hold kind of an important area for that there. Nitin, what's going on? Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Yep, so Amazon, let's take a look. So Amazon, fresh trend to the upside on Amazon, if it'll show up here. Increased volume today, nice hammer candle out of the cloud, and we're back to being bullish till proven otherwise on Amazon. So that's a good thing. So let's see if that continues to work its way back up. And of course, Netflix with a huge day today. Let's see if we continue to get some upside follow through on that one. So some good stuff there. Sahil, what's going on? What are EMAs for day trading? We like to use the Fibonacci's, right? I use the 50-day moving average, S simple moving average here on the daily chart because it's such a big one that traders use, and the 200 simple moving average. Everything else below that, for the most part, is an exponential moving average. We use the Fibonacci's, right? So I like the ADMA. So for the most part on the 15-minute chart, I mean, it's actually good on any time frame. So the 8 exponential moving average is one of my favorites. But then you can use, some other ones, right? You could use the 21, another Fibonacci number, 34, another Fibonacci number, 55 if you have to. But again, pretty much the 8, the 21, and the 34, are good ones to use on the intraday. But for me, I typically don't use moving averages, but I do use the ADMA to make sure that we're trending. So just as a not that you need it, right? You just need a trend line. But sometimes it is helpful that it just automatically draws and says, oh, okay, I'm over the ADMA. I'm still bullish, right? That type of thing. So, it just gives you perspective sometimes. So those are the kind of the big ones right there. Umesh, what's going on? Baidu, let's take a look. Another Chinese name there. So Baidu, inside day, right? So kind of, had a decent move yesterday and, kind of gave a pause day today. Let's see how that holds. I don't like that it closed into the real body range of yesterday. I'd like to have seen it in the upper shadow there to give kind of like a doji sandwich type move, but it's definitely one to keep an eye on those levels, the highs and the lows of today. Stock Market Conqueror, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Boeing. Yeah, so Boeing, again, same thing. It gave a nice push here this morning right at the open, then found resistance here at the daily cloud, and then reversed pretty harshly off of that one, and ended up closing at the 50-day moving average. So right now we're just going to kind of wait and see if it, day by day to see how it goes. Right now it's not really doing it. If it gave us like a big green gap up or something like that, we might try to run this thing up to the 200-day moving average. But right now it's just kind of still chopping around between all these key levels. So good stuff. Mike, hey, thanks on the Netflix play-by-play. Yeah, so I thought it was a good one. You kind of go back and you look at that stuff. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we held yesterday's range. Oh, yeah, cool. We held those big pivot levels. Oh, wow, we got a nice breakout there to get to know. So, I mean, sometimes you just have to have that stuff in mind when you're planning your trade intraday, right? So that's kind of the other key takeaway. So Tracy, what's going on? Good evening. Thanks for tuning in. Let's take a look at Beyond. So Beyond continued to try to work its way back up there. So still green, fresh high. So that's a good thing on Beyond. OSTK, I think you meant OSTK, right? So overstock. So big push there, right there, but just kind of face slammed into the 50-day moving average, right? So we're still kind of in this potential bear flag right now, but that's some big volume on that one as it tried to work its way back up. Such a crazy name to trade. The volatility is so high on it. Microsoft looking okay. Could be a little bit of a pause day right there over the cloud. So let's see if that turns into some sort of like doji sandwich going in tomorrow. It could be interesting. Zenful, what's going on? Yeah, so pins. What a move today, right? So big candle today on this one, big breakout move. We'll see if we get some follow through on this one. I wouldn't expect it to go completely vertical. Maybe it'll give us a viable retrace on it. It did recently, right? Remember the 618 pullback here to the ADMA? We still have that on the radar right here. Ended up working its way off of that nicely, pausing for 3 days and getting the follow through today, right? So we'll see how it goes at that point. At this point here, just kind of keep an eye on it. If it does pull back, see if it holds this 382 or the 618 back to the ADMA. But generally, it is very, very bullish here. So let's see how that goes. So good stuff there, and then let's see if we can get some. If you're profitable on it, right? I mean, it's up a little bit after hours, so let's see if we can bank some more profit on that. Hopefully, going into tomorrow. So good stuff. And Michael, CRSR, Corsair Gaming. Wow. So a couple big pushes right there, but again, now today an upper shadow with a red almost a shooting star off of that one. So it couldn't take that shooting star down, but see if it breaks down below these lows and kind of comes back and tests, a couple of these closing gaps below on that one. And then the next netties. So netties. Let's take a look here. Yeah, kind of nice little reversal candle, key reversal candle yesterday. Got back into the cloud here. It could be coming up and testing the bottom of this pennant. So just a little bit of caution on that one. Watch out for the low volume fake out. Amar, what's going on? Yeah, let's take a look at Apple. So let's see how that's looking here. So Apple today, an apple a day. Again, looks a lot like that Microsoft chart, right? We're still in its trend box right here. So, again, this could be a very impulsive move like the market, ABC. This is really kind of following what the market's up to right now. So, it's been giving us some nice moves. We shorted it at the open today. Just kind of showed us that it was projecting a move down here this morning, right? Cleared through these kind of sideways head and shoulders type move right here, and then gave us a nice flush. Then it got really, really choppy and didn't get any fall to the downside. But also the market was pretty tough today too. So there wasn't a lot of tailwind on a lot of these names, but decent pause there today. Let's see if we can get another push out off of that one. And the Nest, yeah, Spot. So Spot has been pretty hot recently. So up another $7 here today. So wow, we got a lot of levels on this one here. So so nice push up here today. Volume is a little bit blah, still below the ADMA, but it is trying to push its way up to the cloud. So just a little bit of caution there on that one. TSM again, nice gap up there. So see if that can try to continue to work its way back up too. Just always be careful with this one because it's ADR. And then Michael, yeah. So PLTR. Let's take a look. So PLTR, again, still struggling right here. Again, down another 4 cents over there. Tried to push today and then still back under like those IPO levels. It's pretty weak right there. But again, inside days are really important on these IPOs. So keep an eye on those levels going into tomorrow. ASAN. Okay, Asana too. So wow, just nasty. I tell you, I wish we could just short IPOs. It'd be great. They just tend to do that so much. And Ryan, yeah, speaking of IPOs, okay, another one. So Snow. Yeah, big move there off the 319, right? So crazy moves on this one. Big double inside day fail right here, back down. I'm just really all over the place. So at this point now, it's kind of testing the ADMA right here, possibly a projection down to the 618. But see how it holds those lows right there. The lower shadow is kind of interesting on that. And then Froggy. I think JFrog, right? Yeah. So let's get it pulled up there. Yep, so Frog, nasty pullback on that one too. Double inside day up, right? Big upper shadows, and then a big move back down to its ADMA, which is pretty cool. So Yeri, what's going on? I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're having a good evening. Thank you so much. Let's see with Square. So Square, worked its way up a little bit here. Again, still holding on to those 160 levels. Decent candle there today, decent volume. Let's see if we can get a little more strength on that one and push it to those fresh highs again. And NG. So inside day down, right? We talked about that yesterday, right? Keep an eye on these levels, right? Broke the inside day and got down to the ADMA and even pushed a little bit lower before coming back to the ADMA. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. And then, Asan again, Umesh, yeah, absolutely. So again, just nasty pullback off of that one. Again, this is one that they don't have options available on it yet, but nasty pullback over the IPO low, just nasty. So some of these names that don't have like the big investment banks behind them, like the investment banks will come in and defend those levels, right? Because they do it for they basically promise the company that like they're going to keep them up, so they do the best they can to try to support it. But these ones right here, these kind of names are just trash, right? So just kind of gap down there. So see how it holds, right? See how it holds those levels, breaks down below. You might see some more downside tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. And the Nest. So we got the House of Representatives passes $2.2 trillion COVID aid bill. Well, it seems to have dropped the futures right here. Futures just dropped 5 points. So it might be a sell the news type event. So we'll see how that goes. Where's that money going anyway? Do we get any of that, or does it just go back to the rich? I don't know. We'll see how that goes. So anyway, good stuff, guys. So I really appreciate everybody for tuning in this evening. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your night. Again, one more trading day left tomorrow. So see you guys bright and early on the Good Morning Market Prep video on YouTube. So if you're new here, definitely click subscribe on YouTube and hit the notification button to see we go live. If you're new here or not, definitely hit the like button. It really goes a long way, and I always appreciate it. Even if you're watching the recording, please hit the like button. It does go a long way. Also, we'll see you guys again Sunday night. Asan, you want APPN? Let's take another look at that one. So again, I think we looked at this recently. So so big inside day on this one. So see if it breaks out those levels right here. It could be a pause day. Look for a potential flag formation, but just see if it can break out of those levels and try to push to a fresh high on that. But yeah, so we'll be going live again Sunday night. We'll have a fresh topic for everybody. So thanks for everybody for tuning in for this week's topic. I think it was a fun one. And be sure to check out our links in the description. You can join our group. We've got a private Twitter and a private Discord where we've got a lot of different channels in there. A real good group, very professional, and we have a good time too. And we analyze stuff. We go live at the open and the close. So definitely be sure to check that out. And really appreciate it. And we do a newsletter on the weekend. So I hope everybody has a great rest of your evening. We'll see you guys bright and early. Stay healthy out there, and remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And I'll talk to you